that will affect us, but we are also conflicted on our inside. We as individuals are conflicted. Sometimes we have dreams and goals and aspirations, and sometimes we're afraid that we will not achieve our goals, and so we become very angry. We can become angry at God, angry at ourselves, at others. And may I tell you, it's normal. It is normal to be angry. Anger is a normal feeling, a normal emotion, like any other feeling. You can be happy, you can be sad, you can be anxious, you can be frustrated, nervous. All of these things are normal. It says you're a human being. And I have to say that because when we recognize that something is normal, then our brain shifts to a place. How can we use this thing to serve us? How can we become better? It's an opportunity then for us to grow and to develop. And our young men need to understand that they must be assured and their feelings must be validated, because in Jamaica, um, boys weren't socialized to feel safe, to express themselves, or to say, I am feeling fearful, or I'm feeling lonely, or I'm jealous, I'm angry. No, we weren't socialized. The environment wasn't there. You idiot, you're a fool, shut up. But the girls were allowed to share, and they were allowed to cry, and it was seen as normal. Sometimes it can be hard to be a man, very difficult to be a man, because the expectations are high. We're providers, we're protectors, we're supposed to know everything. And when you don't know everything, you have to pretend like you know it. No? So you now learn nothing at school, but you have to go on like say you know. And all of these things, we have become dysfunctional. So conflict can be disharmony, it can be a difference in opinion, a struggle, it can be outright hostility. However, it's an opportunity for us to grow and to develop. So conflicts are normal. But then there are destructive ways of managing conflicts. And then there are constructive ways. And we want to guide our men, our boys, and all of us to know what are the destructive ways and what are the constructive ways. So, for instance, denial. When you deny that you're angry, that is destructive, because it is going to turn up somewhere down the line. You are going to implode on the inside. A problem shared is a problem halved. And when we're being frustrated, just have a brethren, just have a friend. They say, may I go through this, I mean, I don't know what to do. You see the woman, man, how should you talk to me like that? I remember when I was courting my girlfriend, after she knew me a little while, she said, Kevin, may I share something with you? I said, sure, you love me, I love you. You can say anything. And she said to me, I have observed you over time and I realize you are lazy. Let me tell you something, man. I never expected that. And something just rise up inside of me, Like I see stars, I see blinky, I see all kind of things happening. And I'm about to say to her, I was gonna say, first of all, me don't want a woman talk to me like that. Me don't want a woman talk to me like that. Yeah. And the second thing I was about to say to her, you're my mother, you're my mother. Don't talk to me like that. And then a small voice said to me, Kevin, is it true? And so I went by myself and I wore a little mints. And I said, Kevin, is it true? And Kevin said to Kevin, yes, you're lazy. Why are you so lazy, boy? But I was able to reflect on that, move myself away from the situation, then think it through, because in the long run, I want to achieve certain goals. So how do we process this anger and still able to make decisions to achieve our goals? That is something that we have to keep teaching persons as well. So apart from denial, then we might go into a thing called displacement of anger. Displacement of our anger. So we are angry at someone or something, but we do not deal with the source of it. We displace it on somebody else. Mr. John called Mr. Bailey and said, Mr. Bailey, if you don't shape up, I'm going to fire you. But he wants to protect the job. He has 10 dogs and 5 picnic to feed. So him don't bother say anything to the boss. Him take it in, and then him go home, and the wife serve him, and him fling the cold food How you serve that to? Who is he angry at? The boss, but he displaces it on somebody less powerful. And the wife would like to say something, but he's the breadwinner. She hold the teen, pass by her teenage daughter. Oh, you're so nasty, the room, chaka chaka, you'll never find a man, you're worthless. Who is she angry at? Is the husband. She displaces on the daughter. The daughter now would like to say anything, but she hold the teen and pinch the little brother. The little brother kick the dog go after the cat go after the mouse, etc. So we have a rippling effect. Many of that is happening to us in Jamaica. Some people even say it's come from slavery or colonialism, but sometimes it is what we call adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Jamaica, the Caribbean, noted for shame-based parenting. You're worthless like your pooper. You're going to breathe like your mama, your head big like. You eat that, you're fool. You think you can become anybody. So that's where the abuse starts. Verbal abuse. When we don't respect each other enough to listen to each other and allow each other a safe space to talk. And for everybody to know they have talents and abilities and gifts. And they are worthy of contributing to the world. Persons are not led and socialized to feel like that. Many of us can attest to that. And thank God we don't go crazy. Thank God we are here to be able to make a contribution like that. But many homes, many persons, they weren't able to process that and get the support. So there is this displacement of anger. Many of us are, and our students are displacing that too because of COVID and what that has done to them. And they feel robbed. They are fearful they'll never be able to achieve certain things. They're fearful they won't be able to achieve the goals. And can we create that safe space for them to talk about those fears as well instead of displacing it? And something peculiar with our boys and our men, sometimes when they are grieving the loss of all these opportunities, then what we see is anger. Unlike ladies who will have withdrawals and feel depressed and sad and shy, and so the boys are going to show themselves by being angry, but they don't recognize that anger is a part of the grieving process. And so helping them to recognize that it's normal, you're angry because you think you're losing out and you'll never be able to achieve certain things. Let's have a conversation about that. Sometimes we go through disqualification where we minimize the hurt and we say, sure, I become stressed out when I feel so angry. But no, it's because something really is bothering you. And there are other destructive ways, but just for the sake of time, constructive ways is that we have to recognize that we are going to have to withstand uncomfortable feelings in this world. For you to do well and manage yourself and achieve your goals, you have to withstand uncomfortable feelings because there are some things you have control over and there are some things you have no control over. There are just some things that you and I, we couldn't choose our mother, we couldn't choose our father. And then when they abused us, we were vulnerable. We had no power. And so if we're not careful, we carry forward the same way of responding to those things when we were vulnerable. And we have to remind persons, you were a child then, you were younger then, but now you're an adult. You have the power of choice. You have the power of choice. You can respond differently. And then the feeling of anger is a feeling that doesn't have to stay. Just like how sometimes we're happy. We're not happy all the time. But we know that, why would we think we have to be angry all the while? No, why would we think we have to be sad and depressed all the while? No, feelings are just feelings. And they come, but they are telling us to pay attention to something. And usually is what we're focusing on, our thoughts. Can we switch our thoughts then? Because many times we respond or react to that thing and we create some consequences we regret because we give a wrong interpretation of what is happening to us. Somebody look at us and them screw them face. And they say, the man don't like me, And you don't realize that the man don't even see you. The man is so preoccupied about taking care of him baby and all the stress when I go through. He don't see you. But because you interpret the man look as so and so, many times we are interpreting the wrong thing. And if we could just come together and say, you know what, all right, let me have a conversation. I like the saying, seek first to understand and then to be understood. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. Because if we ever just create a space where we could listen to each other, and Jamaicans don't like to listen really, We like to talk. And we say, you listen to me. No man, you listen to me. And then everybody are fire. And you're not Capleton. The thing are burned down. So somebody have to draw back and say, all right, I want to hear what you say. Talk your thing. And then me listening. And I say, just tell me for this what me I hear say. I'm repeat it. And the person can say, yeah, that I mean. And the person no. We get a better way to deal with conflicts when we try to understand. We may not even agree afterwards, But guess what? It is more peaceful when we try to understand, because understanding and agreement are two different things. But the person feel heard, they feel validated. Say, yeah man, you respect me. And you know how the boys and man will love respect. So if we can just say, yeah man, talk up your things them. And the man just talk. And nobody pay attention to sometimes the words and in gesticulation. Just listen to the issue. Because sometimes we get sidestepped. And I say, oh yeah, babe, oh yeah, shout so, and all of that. No pay no attention to that. Just listen to what the man I say, the heart of the thing. And I say, oh, you hurt, man, you hurt. Let me see that thing there. And say, yeah, man, what you do that to me? Throw all my clothes out of the place. What you throw my clothes, what me buy, and work hard for? What you do that? And you go, yeah, man, would I feel a way that Are your clerks that? And I should do that. Sure. Hey, man, ooh. But say, if you do what you plan to do, say. A prison thing that police all come for you. And that you want, no man, but me have a little child I want to take care of. But at least you allow a safe space to do that. I believe that we can learn to do better, and it starts the way you're having this forum and the conversation. Because all of us can get better at managing conflict. All of us. Because we're created to grow and to become better, not bitter. And so I really want to thank you all for having this conversation and to say that together we can change the trajectory in Jamaica. The fact that our students are behaving this way, it has a lot to do with the family structure and how they were socialized. So I often said, how come you blame the youth them and them never come by themselves? My son is a strong-willed child. At school, sometimes they would call me, and I remember they called him, so Bailey, your son had a fight today. I said, what? I said, come here, man, principal. Me not like when principal call me. And then when we go now, them say, Mr. Bailey, no look good, people know you. It not, you don't have to tell me, say, no look good. Me done embarrassed already. Why you think I am here? Me done embarrassed already. But the first thing I asked my son, did you hit the boy? They say you hit the boy in his nose. He said, Daddy, me never hit him in his nose. Me hit him on his nose. God have mercy. But they tell him to talk the truth, And now he has to face the consequences. And over time, going to high school, now is another thing. He's talking while the teacher is speaking because he's finishing homework. But he's a bright guy. And now he doesn't have anything else to do. So they push him out of school and say must stay outside the classroom. When he's outside now, he's singing and disturbing the class. And the teacher called him and he said to the teacher, I am no longer under your jurisdiction. I say, a lawyer that, no, really. And guiding him, see him develop, that he found ways to manage. Because one thing I would say, Samuel, just tell me what is happening here. So talk your stuff. And when him talk, and sometimes I'm strong, and him use a language, I say, I'm trying to understand him, but I don't like how you come across, because it's disrespectful. I'm sure you don't want to disrespect me. So talk the thing again, just change up how you're talking. And him take him time. And every time him talk loud, I talk softer. Because I am modeling the behavior that he must follow. After a while, him get trophy for the most disciplined student. No, can you imagine? See the transformation. And he did become an attorney at that law because him had that in him head. I'm just saying that many of our boys and men, they just need to be taught. Many times we do a lot more correction because we have not taught well. When you teach, well, you do less correction, you know. Yes, but we are trying to correct behaviors we never taught. No, we never teach them, and we are trying to correct them. So first of all, we have to admit this is where we are. Sometimes we get it from, oh, we were treated by our own parents and grandparents and stuff. But some things we have to leave, and then we continue to get better and better. Lots of conversation, but I believe collectively we can do it so that they feel safe. They understand that not because they are triggered and they feel angry that they have to make wrong choices. They can channel that anger into other activities. And when you get a strong-willed child, you know, focused and committed, they are very successful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Bailey. We need to listen to each other, allow each other to express themselves, and also to empathize, you know, reach out and understand what is happening, and then trying to channel what is happening between us. So I'm going to hand over to our brother Jerry now, who will take over for the other two panelists.
Yes, I must say I had an what's it called, an epiphany moment while our brother was speaking, because I realized based on what he was saying that my dad was just like that, you know. God rest his soul in peace. Yeah, but you know, and I was looking back that maybe it is that, especially when you said that how persons relate to you, it's perhaps from a space of anger. And I realized that many of those demotivating things that were said some of the times was because he was angry. And I didn't know that as a child. All I knew that my father was angry all the while, you know, and abusive words would come from him at times. So thank you for opening our eyes as to where, you know, the root of these things are and how to deal with it. You know, I was very, you know, engrossed in your presentation, and once again, thank you. And of course, we're not finished with you yet. The discussion is yet to come, but we have two esteemed panelists who are going to present to us, and it's a joint presentation. They are respectively Brother Roydon Hall and Brother Robin Cook. They are both from the Rock, not that rock. They're both going to present to us based on theme, and let me remind you, it's Stop the Fighting, Conflict Resolution, and Anger Management. Let me just tell you a bit about Brother Roydon Hall. Mr. Hall has been the head of the Tower Hill Restorative Justice Center since 2011, training hundreds of stakeholders in restorative justice and facilitating difficult restorative justice conferences to conflicts using and bringing together victims, offenders, and their community of care in terms of support and care. He started in the restorative justice program as a volunteer in 2009 and became a field officer in 2011. He also acted as director for the restorative justice unit in the Ministry of Justice from October 2014 to August 2015. As well as restorative justice, he was a coordinator for short stints in 2017 and 2018. Mr. Hall had the distinction of managing the newly established restorative justice centers in Augustown. These are some volatile areas: Trenchtown, Granville, Denham Town, Tivoli Gardens, before the Ministry of Justice recognized his talents and hired him as managers for these centers. He also facilitated scores of sensitization workshops nationally, engaging various social communities such as justice of the peace, clerks of court, rank and file officers, prosecutors, defenders, attorneys, judges, education officers, principals, deans of discipline, guidance counselors, teachers, ministers of religion, and of course, he's going to add to the list Jamaica Civil Service Association. Additionally, he also facilitates hundreds of local RJ sensitization workshops on the coroners. Listen, he has a long list, over 2 pages long. I won't go into anything else. It's very long, I tell you, Evans. So, in short, we have before us a man who has a long list of accolades, who, as I said before, it's a case that we went and we sought out the best in the field to come to us and do our presentation. And so let me now present to you, let me now introduce to you our other presenter. Some technical difficulties here. Yes, giving up to, yes. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Right. Hold on, just a little technical difficulty here. All right. You have it on your phone? All right, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. That's what a brother is for. Brother Robin Cook, he works at the Ministry of Justice and Restorative Justice, and he is a field officer. His center is Trench Down, and his qualifications include, but is not only for these, but he is certified restorative justice facilitator. He also has a BSc in program and project management. He's also a community development officer and social work practitioner, and it goes on and on and on. But for the time's sake, we'll just focus on those qualifications. But in short, these are two presenters who are well represented in their field of study, and they are here to present us on the topic Stop the Fight in Conflict Resolution and Anger Management. Put your hand together for the presenters as they jointly present. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. MCs, Chair, Sister Tisha, Clark Griffiths, members of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, colleagues. I have, before I start, something to titillate. I'm going to ask the two colleagues at the front to just pick up one of those two papers for us. No, the lady. All right. Yeah. Anyone, let's work. Could you read it out loud for us on the topic? But just listen up, please. I just don't want anybody to fall asleep. So we're just waking up persons. So listen up. You want the mic, ma'am? Okay.
So I have a woman without her man is an animal.
Say that again.
A woman without her man is an animal.
All right. Could you ask the other gentleman to now go and read for us?
A woman without her man is an animal.
Is there a difference between what you hear? Is there a difference between what you heard? Okay. So sometimes we hear things differently, and that sparks conflict immediately. So you have to be careful with what you hear. So sometimes instead of telling people that's what you said, just say that's what I heard, because that will de-escalate situations. Now I'm just going to ask persons on this side, what do you see right here? Don't call it out yet. And general people on this side, what do you see? Ladies who just arrived, just when I say call out what you see, what do you see over here? What do you see over here? What do you see over here? Some people are not seeing so good. What do you see over here? All right, that's another trigger. Giving a 6 for a 9. So sometimes we get into arguments and we say things that we cannot unsay. It's said already, and we hurt and we cause serious conflicts. So I was actually expecting to have an experiential presentation as part of my presentation. So that may happen, but the time that I have for it is limited. So So I'm going to do my best to draw you in, and that's part of what we do sometimes. So how we got here in Jamaica, changing the language and dealing with conflict and crime in a different way, actually began in 2001 in and around the 7th of July, when 19 people lay dead in the street in a particular community who were behaving in an antisocial behavior, for the want of an expression. So the state decided to discipline the persons because of the two rules. And for 4 days, 19 people lay dead in the street with all kind of things devouring their body and robbing them of their dignity. So that sparked a investigation called a commission of inquiry. And at the end of the day, it was recommended that as a society, we cannot continue treating with conflict, killing a fly with a sledgehammer. It cannot be like that. So we have to have more empathy and respect persons' dignity, no matter what. So I was once in a space and I said to some police officers when I was training, if they knew the antecedents of Saul, or I did say Paul, so they didn't know what I was talking about. So the superintendent said, "Go man, go and tell them some more." So I said to them that I actually said that there was no bad person in the world. The policemen wanted to toss me out of the building. So the point was that the behavior is what is wrong, not the person. So it's the sin and not the sinner. So we humanize persons even when they're having a hard time. We focus on the behavior and not the individual, because that is really what causes the vicious cycle. So there are many things that restorative justice as a concept actually does for organizations, individuals, families, and communities. It creates a space where persons who experience crime and violence, whether they are the perpetrators or they are the ones who receive the hurt. No, I don't call people victims for a special reason. So I discourage the use of that word when you're describing someone in an unfortunate situation, because they're actually survivors and not victims. So if you call me a victim, I become a victim. And I start to behave like a victim. So the language, we have to be very, very careful with how we use the language. So restorative justice along a continuum, we begin by encouraging people to speak for themselves. So you're in a staff meeting and somebody's speaking on behalf of all of us. When did I give you that authority to speak on behalf of all of us? Will create conflict. So speak for yourself, please. So if someone confronts you, you have to tell them how you feel about their behavior, identify the behavior, and tell them really what you would like to see happen the next time. And you can tell a little consequence sometimes. So we really want persons to know how we feel. So we were talking earlier when the president spoke about an unfortunate situation. Injured and subsequently passed. But there was something key that happened in that moment or in that experience. I forgive the person. I forgive the person. So although that soul is not with us, that experience, that the fact that that person had that in them to share, and I heard that, it gives me the power to forgive some more. So I want to ask a question. Let me start with you, ma'am. Suppose I hurt you badly, right? Horribly bad, and you decide to forgive me. Who does the forgiveness benefit?
For new wine into dirty vessels. So to receive the newness, letting you go will allow me to receive the newness and enjoy.
Brilliant. So most of us though really not. Yeah. A lot of Jamaicans are not so forgiving. They want to hold it and hold it. So there's a saying that says, anger is like acid in a vessel that does more damage to the vessel than we pour it on. So indeed, you have to release and share what you're feeling so that people really understand that they actually hurt you. So we're talking about schools and violence. So the Ministry of Justice has a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education to facilitate what is known as restorative practices in school. Restorative practices is the preventative side of restorative justice. So my grandmother used to tell me that, and let me ask somebody, prevention is better than, yeah, did your grandmother tell you? Yeah. So the preventative side of crime, that's also a major focus in the Ministry of Justice. We're actually looking at training individuals in schools to talk it out rather than fighting it out. So that is consistent with your theme, just the same. Talk it out rather than fighting it out. So we use circles and simply put, we ask students, let's say 30 students in a class, just say your name, how you are feeling in the moment, and your favorite sport. When you do that, sometimes the children cannot say their names in public. It's too many people really pay tense. It's surprising. So the facilitator has to make it easy. And the keyword, the prefix facil means to make it easy. So you're there making it easy for the reticent, persons who don't normally share their feelings, to actually talk in public. My name is, alright, so you get that out. I am feeling, sure. And my favorite sport is football. So the person immediately realizes, oops, I can talk in public. That's just round one, and we go right around. And then we add to that and add to that. And immediately you see some things that the teachers are saying, but I never knew that talk. In terms of them flowing after that. So really that is the mission, to get people who normally wouldn't talk and have nothing to say right now, and just keep it, and just stab him in his neck. That is easier. So that's what we're working on. We're also going into workplaces when we're invited, and I'm begging for invitation. People from here ask us to come to your workplace to do presentations. We also do training in the Ministry of Justice in restorative practices, as well as what we call restorative justice, where persons, when they commit themselves, the first thing is they have to accept responsibility before a formal restorative justice conference can be triggered. However, we have some persons that say, I never touch him, I never touch him. But they are arrested and charged. And the judge would have sent them to the center. And sending them to the center with them saying, you never touch him. How you proceed? So we just change our cap and say, well, you're the one who was arrested and charged. And then we call that now a talking circle, where we bring them there to talk it out and not fight it out. So they would share, and we have some questions that we normally ask, and questions we ask the offender first. Never ever ask people why you did it. Because if you ask why, the next thing is, oh, you're going to punish me next. So why me? You're in authority. How many of you, when your manager or your boss call in the office, how you normally feel? Yeah, but if he's in the lunchroom and call, it's a different matter. Yeah, totally different matter. So we try to go down an avenue where we get persons to feel more relaxed. So we don't ask why you did it, we ask them to tell their story. What happened? So they will share their story. And what were you thinking at the time? About think nothing. So you're getting them to open up. And who do you think was affected? Now we're talking about empathy. Who you think was affected? By affected. Now it's the first time in people's lives sometimes somebody actually asks them an effective question like that. Who you think was affected by your behavior? So they might say, well, Tom, I'm punch. I might say, what about his mother? You don't think she's affected? Or his friend on the road? There's a whole community of persons affected when anybody violates you. All your friends them going in one camp to go on the attack. Instead of talk it out, they're ready for you. So we want them to become self-aware that what they just did affected an entire community. If you're a member of the Jamaica Civil Service Association and you do something out of order, it affects the organization, simply put. And what could you have done differently might also be a question that we ask to get the persons to introspect. It's all about getting the human being to think about what they did in a way that they feel safe to just express and open up. And what do you think needs to be done now to make things right are also some of the questions that we ask to pull out the best out of people. So Saul was horrible, I understand, once upon a time, and now every Christian is quoting the same man. Right, sir? Right, sir? Yes, yes. So we just want everybody to stay up. So before I hand over to my colleague, when I heard about the few that is here, I thought about Judges 7, where there is the story of the great general Gideon, who had 32,000 men, and it went down to 300. That is 1/10 of 1%. Yes, and they were very successful. So the man them here, you're doing a great job. And it is going out in the universe like a butterfly effect. So restorative justice operates on three basic principles. The first one, Ubuntu, U-B-U-N-T-U. It means, simply put, I cannot be all that I can be unless you become all that you can be. You cannot become all that you can be unless I become all that I can be. So I have to build you, and you build me, and then we keep going. So if I punish my son, I'm actually punishing myself. So I need to talk it out and not fight it out. I have to find the answers, the language. I have to go deep into myself and recognize that I'm looking in a mirror. I was once young, and according to some social scientists, you have cognitive stages of development. So when you're 13, it just feels like a 13-year-old, especially when you're a 2-year-old. What they call it again? Only 2 people know? All right, terrific, yeah, when they're mashing up everything in the yard. So when they reach 15 is another matter, 17 another matter. It's just a journey. And you can know it when you reach 39 going 40, you start fret. Yeah, some of us. And as it go, why ladies don't like to, if you ask a lady her age, usually get a little issue, right? All right, great. You're representing. Yes. So that said, I will now, let me just say the next 2 quickly. Empowerment. Empowerment. So what do we mean by empowerment? You must be able to walk on your own. I will not be doing anything for you. I will not be doing anything to you. And I'll not be folding my arms on what you go right down either. We just want to work with you to strengthen you. And thirdly, respect. So in Jamaica, disrespect is the biggest thing. The biggest thing. So just a quick story, Robin, before you come up. So I was coming from court one day. I was helping a man to find out whether or not he had a criminal record. So it was 10 o'clock in the morning. I was coming out when a crowd was going in one by one. So I walked right through the crowd. And something distracted me and took my eyes off. And I stepped on something soft. And then looked in a man's eye, and his eye was wide open. When I looked down, I was stepping on a Clark's. And immediately, I just went and cleaned it off quickly, fast, quick and fast. Because that man wouldn't be able to sleep for 8 days, minimum. He looked like a lawyer, well dressed and prepared for court. But the look I got and what I knew I stepped on, I have to do something immediately. So I just, instead of getting him to fight it out, I just did something. Yeah. And the body language was that, I'm contrite, very apologetic, because I just stepped on the ego. So I'm now going to step over, hand over to my colleague, Robin Rock.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hall. Um, Thank you to the Civil Service, Jamaica Civil Service Association, for inviting us and to bringing us in your space to share information and to give, you know, our best at what we do, and some of the things that we would know regarding conflict and anger management. And if you notice, myself and Roydon, we took the tone from Bro Kevin Daly. We never bother go to our presentation, but we just decided to free flow and just be ourselves and represent restorative justice as best as we can. But first of all, I want to congratulate the service for its 105 years celebration. So that's a wonderful achievement. And also, I'm not sure if our men here know, but the Lion Pride. Usually, where there's an assembly of 3 or more lions, it's called a coalition. I'm not sure you know. So guess what? That coalition usually they have their objective. They have their objectives, and one of them is to expand the territory. Expanding the territory. 3, 4, 5 male lions, them want the rest of the place. Yeah, So I'm hoping that you want the rest of the place. You want to expand the territory, you want to bring in people like us, you want to send a message out there, and you want to improve Jamaica in your own way. All right, the next one that the coalition, Lion Pride Coalition, does is protect and provide. So the lion protects the pride. And they help with the hunt, in spite of some people thinking that only the female hunts. But they do hunting too, as well. And also, the most important to me is securing the future. So as a result of them being present, expanding territory, and being who they are as dominant leaders of the pride, the future is secure. And I'm hoping that the civil service secures the future in terms of what they plan to do and how they plan to impact Jamaica. And I hope we feel it in the coming, in the years to come. All right, so, Sir Kevin, Bro Kevin, I'm taking my presentation from some of your very wonderful points that you made, because I want to flow it into restorative justice. And the first one that I noted was problems shared. Problems shared is problems halved. So guess what? In restorative justice, how I read this in terms of us is when we get a court matter or we get a case, whether it be from the police. By the way, we have points of entry in restorative justice. So we get matters, we are an extension of the court. We get matters from the court, we get matters from the police, and we get persons walking in from off the street to our offices and saying, hey, listen, we have a problem. We have a disagreement with our family members, with our neighbors, with somebody down the road, with a neighboring seller beside me, and there's a case. We start profiling them, and we start to listen to them. And that's the first thing you need to do. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to their story. So right away, when they start sharing, the problem becomes hard, because all of a sudden restorative justice is there as an outlet for the anger, as an outlet for the conflict. And in terms of, by the time we get them into a conference, we invite persons, probably like some of you here, who we think are just and fair and can help us to guide them into resolving their own conflict. Because what we do, we don't resolve matters for our clients. The answer usually lies within them. Myself and yourself, we have a problem. We know what caused the problem, and we know the solution. All we need are guides to help us to fix that. We also invite community supporters, personal supporters, because sometimes emotions get out of hand. And we just encourage them. Listen, bring somebody that you know that will help you to control yourself and be fair in that conference, and allow you to understand that what you have done or what you have experienced in the case of a survivor is something that you can handle and something that you can put behind you in a peaceful and fulfilling manner. Achieving goals equals minimizing anger. So some of our clients, they come in and what's the goal? So for the survivor, the goal is to end the matter peacefully, their needs be met. Whatever needs that may be. It may be compensation for damage done to my property or done to myself. I may have been at the hospital in terms of, taking on hospital bills, and you chop me on my head or you punch me on my face or whatever it is. So right away, you came in there with a goal. Part of your goal is to tell your story. Part of your goal is to allow the offender or the person that is in the court language, defendant, to understand, say, look here, anything you do to me a while ago, it affect me this way and it affect me that way, it affect my family. You heard Brother Hall saying that how it affected and who it affected. How has it affected me and who has it affected? Yourself has been affected. The other person affected. Family affected. Remember, when there's an offense and there's an incident, maybe you might think, say, why does me get hurt? Say me get the punch in my face. But guess what, man? Because of your anger, because of whatever happened to you, you're suffering. Your children might realize that. You might start being angry at somebody. So all kind of persons, it's a trickle effect sometimes. For the offenders, it might affect the community. Him do something to somebody. It might be the school community, the work community, whatever. Everybody start by it out. I saw him stay, man. I saw him go on with that rare, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, the whole place get affected. So offenders have to take responsibility based on our process for the harm that they have caused. Also, well, I will leave out this one. Well, I will include it. Adverse childhood experiences, Sir Bailey, is the acronym ACE. So I want to turn that into a positive. So usually, an ACE is somebody who is really brilliant at anything. So what we need to do is ACE or anger, ACE or conflict. So when we ACE it, we resolve it. We are open, we are restorative to resolving our conflict. We're open to having ourselves being exposed in a situation that will require discussion, will require our feelings be heard, will require us listening to the person that have harmed us. Require us listening also to the person that are guiding the process and the persons that are community supporters who are giving us recommendation in order for us to fix the matter, giving us some ideas. What can you do? What can I do to fix this problem that we are having? So you need to ace it. So I borrowed that to mean something else for us. All right? So anger is a part of the grieving process. It definitely is. Let me tell you something. I'm going to share a quick story. Just Saturday gone, I usually partake in, as a restorative justice field officer, in what we call community-wide meetings hosted by several police stations, based on the police station that is near you. So I come and give presentations and all of that. So one of the stations that I usually support and give presentations when they're having community meetings, I get a call on Saturday outside of work time by officers that know me well and give me referrals for cases. And the person said, boy, Mr. Rock, say a Saturday no, but I have to call you and tell you this. And they started sharing a story with me where there was a conflict that they had to go to a particular home and take two brothers out of the home along with their mother, who was very distraught and trying to find out how she can resolve this whole matter. And the police took them to the station at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m. And as a result, the police said, look here, because they were very much bought into restorative justice and the processes and how we present it, and know that this is an alternate dispute resolution process, and it is seeing conflict and crime in a different light. You know, it's not taking the punitive route where we just say, yeah, me send him to jail and prison. This is about discussing matters and trying to resolve matters and trying to avoid the court. And him say, these two boys, it was a mother and two boys, and the two boys were in conflict, fighting and all that. One is 18 and one is 21. And the policeman shared with me that from they were, one was in grade 3 and one was in grade 4. They had a dispute and have not spoken to each other since. And their mother was not happy. For those several years, not happy. And the policeman took them and formed a circle and decided to put some restorative justice process into action. And at the end of it, the two brothers got up, hugged, apologized to each other, expressed profusely that they were not happy in the situation. Remember, them living in 2 rooms, sleeping in the same bedroom, them not talk to each other for much years, them vex with each other, them not deal. And after that process of hearing themselves, hearing the problems that both of them had, remember, you have to start listening to the person where you vex with, and the person where you vex with have to start listening to you. And then all of a sudden, a result start happening, a process start happening. People start hug, people start cry, 2 brothers, they hate each other. Well, supposedly. The mother said that, the next day was the mother's birthday, by the way. And before, she said to the policeman, this is the best birthday gift that you could have ever given to me. Alright, so those are the anecdotes, stories that have come out of restorative justice and our amazing process. So the last one I will just take on is when Sir Bailey said, the principal called me. And that is usually not something that is welcoming when principal call about a picnic, right? But in the past, I have been called, not necessarily about a picnic, but about a nephew, my own child, but a nephew. And that gave me the opportunity to say, you know what? Let us organize the class in a certain way and get all the children that have been involved in some various malpractices, misbehaviors, angers, fighting, all of that, and sit them down and really give them a chance to empower themselves. Because a circle empowers them. A circle equalizes everything, because you can see the other person. It's not like this room that you can see who is behind you. Our circle empowers, and our circle gives everybody a chance to participate. All right, and that is very important for us. Allow yourselves to come in a circle and give everybody a chance to participate in whatever problems that you may have. That is one of our various approaches that is very critical in terms of problem solving, anger management, and all of those wonderful things. Allow each person to play a role. It's not about talking to, but it's about talking with. All right, so that process was employed, and we reason out a lot of things, and a lot of the children were having problems with how teacher deal with them, and teacher sometimes when them want a little extra help with something, and them go to teacher, and teacher start hear all kind of things that she never know about herself and never know about her own approach. All right, so with our restorative justice process, anger management is allowed to be controlled, is allowed to be aired. The anger is allowed to be aired, and that is part of the management. When you air anger, when you air problems, when you air the conflict, air them, let them come out, so that the next person can understand how you have been affecting the other one. And then now you start to see, how best you can resolve the matter, and how best you can write an agreement in a discussion that will allow for a peaceful existence coming in the future. Thank you very much. I've been here for a few, and I hope this will resonate with the service and we'll be invited to some other future whatever.
We thank Sir Rock for going through some of the practices of his agency and really showing us how it's done. A practical demonstration of many of the day-to-day incidents that he would have intervened and successfully brought to bear. Also, we'd like to thank his brother before for going through the effects of anger on persons, restorative justice in terms of talking it out, not fighting it out. And he would have told us that they have also ventured in the schools and workplaces. And he spoke to us also about self-awareness, in terms of through questions such as what happened instead of, how you feel about it and so on. And you know why? And our brother before, who spoke about processing anger, denying it, displacing it, the verbal abuse that comes as a result of it, and also constructive ways of dealing with anger and anger management and conflict resolution. I want to give them all a round of applause. And now is the business end of things where you feel questions to them. But I want to start the ball rolling by just before we do that though, just some fast fingers. So we have some credit to give away, right? So it's fast fingers. We're going flow first. So take out your flow phones, and if you get the credit, just say, yeah. Those who have gotten already. Me not know that part there. Somebody tell her how to put it on the floor credit. But fast fingers. Ready? And it says here the value is $625. Right, so and a little bit of money. With this, all your conflicts will be resolved. Ready? Everybody ready with the flow phones? All right, here we go. 577-953-357-225-976. Who get it? Anybody get it? Says stop the fighting. So who got it? Nobody? But somebody must. No. No. Slowly, please. What's that, Sister Helen? Slowly. Okay, let me go slowly. But them normally be fast. Yeah. All right, let me go again. 577-953-572-25976.
Who got it? Okay, so somebody got it.
Somebody got
All right,
it.
let's switch over to digital. Brother MacLeod got it. All right, so let's switch over to digital.
So get out your digital phones.
Ready? The value is $625 with 2 zeros afterwards.
Like she don't put on a $200 credit in it.
So let's go. 959 880 401 1534. You're welcome.
No, listen, you're supposed to say stop the fighting. There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. All right, so we're going to have a roaming mic, and I'm going to start the ball rolling with my question. All right, okay, so the panelists, okay, yeah, we do need a mic. We have a third mic available. Okay, we do have one. All right, so that one will be the roaming one. All right, so panelists, question. I've been in situations where person experienced such an anger that even somebody who they were, like says their mother or them good brother, something happen and they see red, or I think you explained the person stars or something, right? What happened? Because I hear some people say it's demon possession, and after they would have come out of the situation, and let's say it ends up in somebody, then they say, "Oh, me kill my brother." Oh, me. What happens in during that time or during that process? It's open to the panelists.
Check. Great. So, if that person proceeded and ended up coming in contact with the law, they would be charged. Let's say they just move from just that feeling to action. They would still have the same anger issue. Okay. We give them an opportunity to share in two meetings. One, the meeting before the meeting. So they will be coming to a restorative process with their two supporters, and the other person will be coming with theirs. So they would have shared how they feel based on the effective questions that were asked them, which I gave some examples. And some of that will come out. So they will be sharing and releasing some of the confusion. And that will prepare them now to listen to the other side. And people will be listening to them as well. So although persons might be in contact with the law, we don't treat them like, yes, they were also affected. They are survivors of the incident. And of course, people have internal issues. We want them to first reconcile with themselves. But the dialogue sometimes helps, not sometimes, all the time, helps to get them to understand this lady known as Misunderstanding. You know her? So the dialogue is through that restorative approach where they're in a safe space to speak. So we're not psychologists. We'll create a space and we'll ask some questions that cause persons to just confess up, just share. Okay. And share without thinking about reprisal. And that really gets people to be humanized and born away.
And just to continue, because what he has done is give a safe space for persons to try and understand themselves. Every behavior has a meaning. So when a person behaves a particular way, if they feel safe enough, they will tell you why they did it. But we weren't socialized to have a safe space. So we have to find other ways to bring out our point. Two ways we learn as human beings: heat or light. Light is like insight and revelation or learning, and a bulb goes off in our head that, whoa, if we continue to do this, these are the consequences. We don't want those things. We want other stuff like our goals and achievements, etc. So that's the light. We get insight. You're here, you're listening to these gentlemen speaking, and so. But the other way that we learn as human beings is heat, natural consequences, painful stuff, where we have to suffer the consequences. And guess which one we choose most of the time? Heat. Human nature. We will try and push the envelope to get away with stuff without consequences. Now, as babies, we should have been socialized by parental authority once we enter planet Earth to say, this is how you go about managing yourself. And there are 4 foundational truths that every child should get for them to build high self-esteem, how they think and feel about themselves. Because a person who has adequate self-esteem, they are able to be more emotionally intelligent. First, they are more aware of themselves. So that's self-awareness. Then comes self-management. You have to be aware of what is happening on your inside and all how you respond, what triggers you, all of that. And then you can manage self, then you can manage other relationships. Those 4 foundational messages. One, that we have to convince our children that they are loved unconditionally first. they are lovable. Second one is that they are valuable. Third, they are capable. And the final one is that they are forgivable. Those are the four core messages we should communicate by our words and our behavior to our children, that you are loved unconditionally, as is, where is, what's and all. One. But secondly, you are valuable, you have worth. And how do you treat something if you value it? You take care of it, you treasure it. So can you imagine if I now get it that I am valued? And not only that, I am capable, I have skills and talents and education, abilities, I can make a meaningful contribution. I can be smarty. Rex Netford call it smartification. Yeah. You have value. And then not that, finally, I am forgivable. I don't have to be perfect. I can make some mistakes and I'm not an idiot. I'm not a dunce. I'm not a fool. I'm learning. If we are able to convince our children these core messages, the research says they have a high sense of self. When somebody say you're an idiot, me an idiot? No, man. You're projecting on me. Are you an idiot? So, when somebody say you'll never achieve that, but you're, like what you're saying, don't have nothing to do with me. And so I think we're coming from a very far place in slavery. Remember that thing that said we were less than a human being?
Animals.
Yes, nothing. And so we get some of that. Then colonialism, the plantocracy, that says I am superior to you. And then we continue, whether it's our culture or music or the way we do so. Yes, all of that now, and it lodges what we call the cognition. Your cognition is what is big. So what we're trying to do, because you have your mind separate from your brain. Your brain is the physical organ that the doctors can operate on. But your mind is how you think, how you feel, and how you choose. Your thinking, your feeling, your choices. You send a thought to your brain, and remember, as a child, you get so much thoughts. And because you weren't adult enough, you actually thought it was true. Like you actually thought you were ugly. You actually thought you were dunce. Can you imagine that? You actually thought that white people were better than you. All of these things lodge in your cognition. So when somebody does something, through that blueprint is interpreting, and a lot of the time it's not true. So that a lot of the fighting, a lot of this conflict is we have to unlearn that. And what they're saying now, they are creating this circle of safe space where a person, once they can say, I am so and so. First, I am saying my name in public. You know how big that is, how powerful that is, to know that I have a voice. Because they told me, just shut up. Don't talk. Be quiet, boy. And now you're telling me, you're giving me permission to say I have a voice. No, that is powerful, especially for our boys and our men. And if we start all of that, and I'm so happy for the conversation, because it's when we agree together to collaborate, all of us have something to contribute in order to change. We behave ourselves into this, so we can behave ourselves out of it. That's the beauty about human beings. We have this power of choice and the power of responding. And the final thing I want to say is this power of responding, because even though somebody initiates something, somebody push you, or somebody say you're an idiot or you're a fool, can you imagine you can either escalate it or you can de-escalate just by how you respond to it. You can laugh it off and say, sure, yeah.
The nature of our organization, as representatives, we have a certain personality trait. So, as reps, we have over 127 in a particular group. And everyone's view should be respected, right? But we often see where diverse views may cause certain responses, and you get certain reaction. How do you, and I'm talking for the benefit of those who are watching online and those who are in the audience, even as officers, we do not always agree on matters. And if you, in any organization, and you said there's good conflict, right, and healthy conversations that we have. But how do you help our representatives, and what do we do as leaders to manage this space? And what do we do to help them to recognize that each person that is a part of this particular group is equally important and is supposed to be there? And even though our views are not the same, it is to be respected. You spoke about respect. I saw it here. Empowerment, respect, etc. But I'm so sorry, and this is an opportunity for me to invite the team back to have a conversation to our representatives, because we in our own space have to manage conflict as rep. And usually, and grievances, why we have so much grievances is as a result of misunderstanding sometimes, as well as we have breaches of the regulations and laws, etc. But I want you to help my reps and my members who are online. What is the first step? How do you respond? And what is it that we do to help to manage the circumstances?
Yes. So, thanks for the question. The way we are sitting presently is one of the factors. As Robin had pointed out, the person who is sitting in the front row is not making eye contact with the person in the back row when we're having a conversation. So somebody can hold somebody in the waist, you want to get up, and somebody just take away your voice by telling you, don't get up. So those things actually help to add to the confusion. So using circles effectively, actually, and as a matter of fact, choosing the same kinds of chairs to symbolically illustrate that we're on the same level. So there, well, some of the settings you could break out where you have a circle. So this bench table is between us, so we're really not connected. So there's something between us, a barrier. So body language is also good communication, or I think it's 80% of communication on school. So you really want to become, you're aiming towards being in harmony. But at the same time, you don't want groupthink, which is everybody agreed. So there will always be disagreement. But fundamentally, everyone wants to be acknowledged, everyone wants to be heard, everyone wants to be seen. The ground rules that govern the meeting, we usually ask who is in disagreement with this rule. You start from there in terms of how we proceed. And you try not to tell people what the rules are, you get the people to tell you what the rule is, or the rules are. So it's a group thing. So you give the group the power, but at the same time the group should understand and respect the authority of the facilitator or the chair. So we solicit ideas, and whether or not it is going to go away not in favor of the group, at least we engage people, we explain to people, and the expectation is made clear. So once it's not dictation or lecture, people tend to learn a little easier. So the environment. So I'll just give you someone had asked me earlier how you deal with violence in a community when top street, bottom street break out, or community A and community B break out. So I don't think I necessarily want to call the name of the community, but there was this community in 2013 that the police were in, shut down the whole place. And they needed an intervention, and we were asked to bring restorative justice as a concept to the community. So what we did was to do corner sensitization by going places in the community. So I just want to quote a scripture, Exodus 18, where the great General Moses was advised by Jethro that you can't be in charge of everything, you have to break it up in groups. tens, fifties, and hundreds, and you take the other states. That kind of organization, I think Marcus Garvey did the same thing in terms of having units that functions in harmony. So in that particular community, we took the message to the street where we invite 30 people at a time to sit in our circle. We don't want the whole community, we just want that particular block. And then we leave and we go to another block. And we just want to ask them, name, how you feeling, how you feel about your community at this time. Just effective questions like that, and the people open up. You know, some of the violence producers, their grandmother was in the circle, and some of the people who were hurt, their families in the circle, and in the same family that causing the problem, and they're actually discussing the issues. And when we took it a step further and took it to the community development committee, they love ed tables. So the leadership just want to be up here while you're down there, and you know, that really won't fix it. So there needed to be a culture shift. So they agreed to put it away after plenty resistance, and they actually came to the point where they started to listen to each other. According to what Robin had shared, they solved the problem on their own. We just facilitated that arrangement. What happened in the community? One night I left there when we were invited. When I left, I got a call that someone was murdered. 2 days after, someone got murdered because that person got murdered. 2 days after, somebody got murdered because that person was murdered. And it went on 4 times, and that's when we went out. That community last year, I heard that something happened in there last year, and this was 2013. So I'm not saying they didn't learn anything, just that they needed more support over time. So your organization, the way that you set up the arrangement, the facilitation, so you can get training in restorative justice approach, where you facilitate the conversation in such a way where people's ideas are there. We usually have a talking piece where somebody else wants to talk. Push is him talking around there. So you don't have the talking piece, it's not your chance. So we have other props, call it that for now, that reminds persons that this is the person we should be listening to. Not who is talking, the person who we should be listening to. And when they're finished, the chair would say your time, and we go around like that. So that awareness, that training would help a lot. So you train 10 people who are leaders in their own right, in those skill sets, and you facilitate the meeting in a restorative way. And it could add a lot of value to the organization and how it evolves.
And just to add to Roydon's beautiful illustration a while ago, facilitator is critical. Persons who are facilitating like a meeting with like an organization like this definitely have to know the role that they play, because obviously you're part of it, so you might have your own ideas, or you might have ideas that are conflicting with what you're trying to achieve. You know, so role is important. How you conduct the whole thing is important, and you might just have to step back during that facilitation process to, you know, allow for a resolution, to allow for some kind of forward thinking to take over the whole meeting or take over the process, so that you can everybody can benefit from it, because that is important if you want to really come to any kind of result. And by the way, in a process like this as well, you reach a stage, because it's in stages, and you reach a stage, you move from one stage to the next, so the problems and all of that and some of the issues. But the final stage, or the ultimate stage, should be the solution. President. Sir, yeah, Vice President, should be the solution. Because we are talking about the men here now who are taking over this initiative. The solutions must be at the end of everything. It can't be that the thing keeps going circular and all of that. At the end of the thing, it's the solutions and how best we move forward and how best we satisfy everybody's needs, so to speak, if we can.
Okay. The next person we have in line is Brother
just to reinforce the point, when you're dealing with a group, as the leader or the facilitator, you have to know what triggers you, because we all have triggers. There are some things we're disgusted by. There are some things we're frustrated by. And if we're not aware of that, we're gonna respond in a way that can cause things to get worse. As a counselor operating in Jamaica overseas, I have to counsel people who are satanic or Muslim or Hindu or lesbian or bisexuals or atheists or Christian. I'm a Christian. It's different persons that come in front of me. And all I want to know is, how can I help? Nothing else, Why are you here? How can I help? I see God's DNA in everybody. What you're doing, etc., that's not my issue. I just want to know, why are you here? How can I help? And that if we can get members to have that respect for each person, so that we are now trying to understand, and this is a big difference. The difference between understanding and agreeing. So many times we think they're the same. So if we say to somebody, I understand, we think we're telling them we are condoning what you're doing. That's not true. So a person may come and say, I am doing this and this is how it's to be done, etc. All they want is for us to ask them some questions more for clarification, and to reach a point where we can say, if I was a teenager, if I was a parent, if I was a brother, I can understand why you would respond like that. And once they get that, they don't feel attacked. They feel understood, because that's one of the deepest needs of any human being, is to be fully understood.
Yes.
Like, don't judge me. Just listen up. Just listen a little. Once they get an understanding now, and you say to them, they relaxed, and then you can say, may I share another perspective? They are now in a better frame of mind to listen to you, because you have listened to them.
Yes, sir.
That's why we always say, seek first to understand and then to be understood. And I think that would help. So if the person, because in a group setting, you're gonna be a person who like to talk a lot. You're persons who are loud. You're persons who will attack. Nobody wants to be attacked. So, and this is what I'll just finish with saying this. We encourage persons to use I statement. I am feeling this way when you said that. I felt hurt when you did that. But when you use I, you are owning it. You're not attacking the person. When you use you did that. You are saying that. You're an idiot. And when a person is attacked, you're going to bring up your defenses. But once you use I, because what you want to do is to communicate how you are experiencing them. But once you use the I statement, they don't feel that attack. You create the environment now for a deeper understanding.
Okay, we're moving on to Brother Alrington, who's the next person on the list. Brother Alrington.
Thank you, Chairman. So, Sir Bailey used slavery twice, once in your presentation, and I used to go to Arden when I did my studies. That was a big issue. So, in Jamaica, it's often said that where we are now is as a result of our ancestors. And there are two facts. Most slave revolts and the most brutal slave revolts took place in Jamaica. And where most slaves came from in Africa, in terms of Ghana and Nigeria, was two of the most rebellious types of slaves. So is there any direct correlation between where the slaves came from to Jamaica and what is happening now?
That's a serious question. There's a book written called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And it's amazing, because some of the things you're asking, she has done research on it. And I am not that qualified to tell you all of it, but I must be honest with you. Whatever happened to our past, how we have processed it, can impact how we respond to situation. And what they're saying is yes, that is a contributing factor. Post-traumatic slave syndrome predisposes us to feel insecure, to feel abandoned, to feel fragmented, to have, as it were, it's just like you're having nightmares. Your self-talk is different. You actually sometimes demean self. There's a sense of hopelessness as well, that my goals will never be achieved. My dreams will never be achieved. When a person reaches those places in its internal dialogue, then you feel so stressed. You have to go into the fight or the flight mode. It's either you're gonna fight this system that is holding you back, or you're gonna run away from it. But there are what we're saying now is that in between those extremes, you can come up with this power of choice now. So our past, we can learn from our past, but we do have to live in it. When we come from the family of origin, there are some things from our early childhood, that we should take. These are good things. But there are some other things we should say, no, I don't want that. Because we as human beings have an amazing brain. The brain that God has given us, that we actually can choose our future. We can choose our destiny. We can decide. Our foreparents, with the limited knowledge that they had, they just did that. But now we have opportunities now that we can make constructive decisions to benefit our generation. And I would say that's what we could take from that. Learn the good things, incorporate them. But there are some horrible stuff and some ways of thinking. We're going to say, no, not for the 21st century. We have some other ways. Restorative justice, listening to each other, not in the divide and rule, which what they did to us. We're now wiser. It's just how we have developed with our political system. And I think that is why some of us are not involved in voting again, because we have decided that, we don't want them rubbish here again, We're not going down those places again. Look at what happened in the 1980s. And we're saying we're not going back there again. We want better for our generation. And so we're learning and we're evolving, we're getting better.
So speaking of culture coming from a place, and you use the example of slavery, but there are other jurisdictions where indigenous people actually are such at a disadvantage, as in Guyana once, and I never appreciate prejudice at that level when the way they treat the Arawaks, for example, the indigenous people on the ground. It was shocking. In some countries, yes, well, there are different tribes, Wapishini, Arawaks, and a whole range of indigenous people. First Nation people, they are called in Restorative, they are referred to. In places like Australia, the same experience. People come and take out people's land. In America, the same thing happened to the Indians. So most of the people drink rum every day. It's just, and the prisons are so filled with persons. So restorative justice is big in those jurisdictions because it is understood that these people suffered. And here is a way to humanize people. So I'm just sharing in the context of what you said in terms of us. But you mentioned Nigeria and another state, but the Moors perhaps were here before that. And I understand you have a group of persons in Jamaica now known as the Moor Runes. I want to do some research on that because of their stance as human beings standing up for something. So you look at it, is it assertiveness with Jamaicans as a whole? Are we assertive or are we aggressive? Are we cooperative? Perhaps only when we go abroad, right? But we're a culture that for some reason, wherever we go, people tend to look that way. Not necessarily for bad reasons, but we're usually in leadership and those things. So it's another thing I want to quickly add. In the 40s, 1944, when they had the the we call it I'm coming up in a senior moment, but the universal adult suffrage, where I was 3/4 of a human being at the time. You know, and women were the property of their men and husbands, and they couldn't vote and so on. So coming from places that were going. So Lot's wife tend to run into a problem. She kept looking in a certain direction that she should be, and I'm just encouraging us that we need to be thinking differently now, and by example, get our children to recognize that we, valuable, forgivable, and so on. You know, that kind of thing we should be leading as civil servants. We need to make be the ambassadors for change, and be the change. Because if it starts somewhere, it will go. And in closing, normally when I do a presentation, sometimes I take out $5,000 and say, this is my contribution to that movement. Who is responsible? And this is the response I usually hear: the treasurer, no, the president, no, the vice president. Till somebody get up and say, I am. And put the 5,000 in their pocket. So you know, we talk and we talk, but we really need to be the change agent. Some organizations, the way they're managed, people are very uncomfortable because they might be carrying out a certain kind of management style into that organization. I must say that the restorative approach is more proactive in building the capacity of organizations and recalibrating organizations so you can have far much more productivity, which is fully appreciated.
Thank you. We appreciate the questions and suggestions from both the President and third VP. We're going to move on to Michelle Williams, so who is the head of the Member Services Unit, for her contributions, like question to the panelists.
Okay, good afternoon. Are there instances where you assess a situation, for example, a work group or even a family? You've come in, you've done the intervention with the restorative justice. I may express to you, Brother Roydon, I didn't like the way you spoke to me. You may say to me, Brother Michelle, Sister Michelle, apologies.
That would cause a conflict.
Sister Michelle, I didn't like your response to me. And even though strategies are put in place, the discussion is had, we sat in a circle, there's still just no solution, no resolution, and maybe that the persons just cannot cohabitate in the same space. There are those instances.
So healing is a process. So when people are hurt, sometimes it's deeper than you can imagine. So them being that hurt, that intervention only carry them up to a point, for example. So once people are hurt, really share how they are feeling. We encourage use of I statements, as we were told earlier, for people to speak for themselves and share how they feel about stuff. But the more you give persons that opportunity to dig deeper, go a little deeper, just a little deeper, till we have what we call a catharsis, which I don't, it's not lunchtime yet. So I usually ask persons, when you feel sick, i.e. when you want to throw up, after you throw up, how you normally feel? Yeah. So we encourage persons to chew it up, to go deep. So we encourage use of affective questions, which means we're asking for an emotional response. What has been the hardest part of this for you? You're sharing that in front of the person that violated you. And of course, them hearing. And the mother hearing too. And of course, there's hearing. So it's a shame moment, and it's a moment when people go in to come out. So we spend a little, you mentioned agreement, and I take the point. I said to a person who was in training that although we get an agreement for the courts, that's not the agreement we're talking about. The agreement that is written on the heart. So it's not a paper agreement, because the thing that is written on the paper is don't work the paper. It's really what we agree on for the organization. And speaking of which, sometimes when we work with organizations, your needs and the organization's needs clicked in. And so you want to do your own thing, you don't know that work. So how do we get ourselves to enjoy our jobs and so on? Well, back to your point, though, healing takes time, and persons, the healing process might begin. So over time, the other supporters will be there to help them. And when restorative justice becomes part of the everyday language in the country, you might see a little difference. Less of that. Just less and less. That's where we're aiming.
All right, we go next to chapter chair Carol Clark for her question contribution to.
Good afternoon. Going back to what Madam President had said earlier, I want to ask you two questions. First one, restorative justice in this age of technology, is it always face to face?
So a restorative justice process is ideally an intimate process. So we're talking about intimacy as a word, as a feeling, where nobody's being judged. Everybody's coming to a place where they're coming to talk something. So that is a consideration, a serious consideration.
Okay. And the second point, I am from an organization where you have a mix, how should I put it, a wide cross section of people, and there is always conflict, and you can't always have persons in the same room always having that conflict. I understand the round table, the circle thing, but based on my understanding and knowledge, it's sometimes it is so hard to get those persons together, and actually dangerous to get those persons in the same room, in the same space. How do we handle that?
So a typical referral to, let's say, from the court, or you walk into the center or the police and a case, means we're starting from scratch. So we have to do what we call investigation, and how human beings are, they tend to group up. Although you have those dynamics, you still have three that is one group, and they get along and so on. So you go in and recognize that these three talk very well, and this one in this group talk very well with this one, with the other two. You have a lot of dynamics in there. So once you understand that, and you get at least some of them to agree that you're going somewhere, you're going to talk it out instead of fighting it out. If only 5, 6, 7, or 8 out of the 20 participate, and they have a consensus in the end, the news is spread. And others might want to break it up. There's foolishness because they have issues, unresolved issues. We heard this morning internally. So persons have different reasons to be angry. Husband didn't come home for 4 days, all kinds of different reasons. Our wives. So people have issues. So we ultimately bring them together. It's a process. So you're shifting. I'm a first degree black belt, right? So when I go to the training hall, I open the door and come in. I say, us. And I leave all the problems outside. Because if I take it inside, I'm going to get a punch in the face because I'm going to lapse. So I leave everything outside. And when I go back through the door, I might take them back. So we have to retrain ourselves. You heard, I also teach driving. And I find myself in teaching driving. Because I don't teach anybody who has ever driven before. I don't want to teach anybody that has driven before. Because I don't want to unlearn to relearn. Pay over my paycheck. So I usually take 1 hour to get people to go on there and put on their meeting. Just 1 hour. Right? So we make things easy. So if you call me in and say this is the problem, we start the process. So it starts by you making a referral. And that's why we're here as well. So to spread the word and have testimonials where you can say, it was like this, and you can recommend it to that organization, and so on. And on top of that, we will train persons to do what we do. Because it will be more than half. One person said that all the knowledge that I have, when I share it, I don't lose anything and you gain. And that's where we're headed.
So true. All right, thank you. We have Sir Chong is next, and we have one more question after that. Then we have to wrap up this section. We could be here all evening, but work calls and food calls. So, Brother Chong, go ahead.
Right. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, I want to commend you because not only that each of you of individuals are not knowledgeable, but there's a synergy between the two of you that you've created. That is very good. I want to commend that. Next, I just want to get back to what we are here for. We're talking about stop the fight. And it's so important when we talk. I think, I don't remember the names so very well. I'm not very good at names. You did say something about socialization of people. And it's very important because in Jamaica, we don't practice socialization when people come into work. We talk about that point where you just come into work, or what do you call it again? Orientation. But it really should be about socialization. But it's really orientation. They're just really telling you what are the rules and the regulations and if you get the lunches or no. But it goes back to my own training because I was trained in Italy and I'm a workplace occupational safety and health risk specialist. And one of the things that I had to do was the psychosociology of work, which is very important because, and my lecturer was a Christian, and you realize that in places like that, when you're there, you have Muslims, Hindus, all kind of, and she kept on saying, I'm a Christian. As you were saying, she's owning something. And what I'm understanding, what she was saying, that God himself is the greatest change manager. Because what he did, he started out by murdering people who didn't believe in him. And I'm saying, what is she saying? As a Christian, I don't believe that God is a murderer. But she's saying, yes, if you think about it, God told Saul to go in and kill everybody. And Saul disobeyed him and he was disinherited. His line was cut off. So God started out that way, but he sent a change manager. Who is that change manager? Jesus Christ. And he gave him a tool to work with, forgiveness. Forgiveness is the tool that God worked with to change that concept of violence as a means of conflict. So we are coming back in a society where violence is the means of resolving conflict. That's where we're coming from, And then the change manager came, Jesus Christ. And we're talking about forgiveness. And that's the tool that he was using. So I'm going back to my old childhood in Jamaica, where when I went to school, if you did anything wrong, the principal flog you. And then we said that was vicious, that was barbaric. We cut that out, but there's no change manager. Nothing came into the schools to replace flogging. So now what has happened is that these kids are growing without the guardrails that were in place. There's no guardrail. So the guardrail we were using, we say it was wrong. But now there's no guardrails in the place. So fighting becomes the mean. Yesterday I saw the president making a donation to somebody who was injured at work. And that's a passion of mine, talking about what happens in the workplace in Jamaica in terms of workers' compensation. Now we don't have that. but that's another matter. I don't want to get into that right now. The thing that what I'm getting at is that without putting a tool in place in order for us to stop the violence, all of this talk that we are having sounds very good, but what we are doing is analyzing the problem. Are we not? There is no tool. Nobody is giving me a suggestion. What is the tool that we are going to use to stop this fighting in the school, stop the fighting in the workplace, stop the fighting in the community, stop the fighting in the whole country? And we need to stop it. So what are some of the tools that we need to put in place that we can stop this fighting? I know in the workplace as a risk management specialist, what I do is look at risk persons. So I try to identify at-risk persons. But we get into the danger of trying to put people into communities that say they are the most at risk, and that's the most dangerous thing you could ever do. So I look at other things to say people who are at risk, and in order to have a prevention strategy rather than to have a restorative justice, I would like to say a preventative justice strategy. And I try to put some of those in the workplace. And when I was the director of occupational safety and health in Jamaica, we started a voluntary compliance program with some of these things in it. Once I left work, though, it has not taken any traction, so I don't see it going anywhere, because they've just dumped that program by the wayside. We're talking about even at construction sites where we found that there was the most violence, that we certify people for going on construction site by going through this sort of socialization to see how we could, if that program was also dumped. But I guess I'm talking too much, so I'm getting carried away. What I really want to say, can we find some ways of putting a mechanism in place? We stop beating in school. What can we put in place? Let's not go back to violence to cure violence. Let's try to find a way of putting the mechanisms in place to stop the violence. Thank you very much.
Sure. Just a response. Thank you so much for the contribution. The reality is that it takes all of us to come up with a solution. There's no one person. And, there's a saying that for every complex problem, there's an easy solution, which is often wrong. Because a complex situation requires complex thinking. And all of us here, like the amount of things I've learned today, it's amazing just listening to everybody that I can incorporate in my life. I'm better than when I entered this morning. And if we listen to each other, I believe collaboratively, we can accomplish the changes. For instance, the first unit of socialization is the family. That's the first unit of socialization, the family. What are we going to do to help the family to be functional? Because that's going to be huge in prevention. Before you even think of having a child, you have to start there, because every child that comes on planet Earth, they're going to make some choices. And so the choice is, should I really have a child or not have a child? And then who am I going to have a child with? Who am I going to sleep with? No, I'm just saying all of these things are processes that you have to look at. Because if the child doesn't come, you will not have the challenges of their choices. So are we willing to have those conversations? Generally, we don't. And because we're human beings, we have to look both at prevention and cure. So my ambition is, and one of my major work is, how do I work with with persons who are planning to have children, or planning to have sustained relationships? How do you create healthy relationships? Because if you create that environment, then generally speaking, the product of that environment is going to be healthy, and they can make certain choices. After you leave the family, yeah, another unit is the school. Now the teachers now have to do extra work because the family is not functioning. They now have to be parent. They weren't trained to be parent in parenting these. They want to deliver the curriculum. And then the same thing with the workplace now. We expect persons well adjusted to come into the workplace. And it don't happen. So all of these things I think we have to admit, not being in denial, but to admit every area that we are. And all of us have to be responsible for the areas that we have. Are you a father? I don't know my father. Where is he? In foreign. He never came back. But what I have learned is that I can't be responsible for his decision. When I became a father, I now have a responsibility for my son. And I own that. And I say to fathers, own your children. Find them. Know whether you're a bishop, pastor, or commissioner. You know how many children would have loved them father to say, hey, you're my own, you know. Even if I not get nothing. Just a recognition that me a smarty. And then did you know 100% of the serial killers, Dr. Herbert Gale research, were abused by women? 100% of serial killers were abused by their mothers. Yet, he said what his research showed. No, are we blaming women? No. Because the women can say, but it's because of the stress, you know. When the father is absent and I have to take on this, but do you have to abuse the child? No. So I think as we evaluate all of these situations, we now can say we can choose different ways. And all of us, I think, have to come together. The final thing I want to say is that we have learned to work together. One of the things I've noticed in Jamaica, we do very well alone. You know, so our stars, a reggae artist or an athlete or artist. But when it comes to working in groups, we're still evolving. The Chinese does a better job, the Indians do a better job, the Jews, etc. I think they said we still have to realize that together each achieve more. As I say, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with company. And so I think when we have that mindset, that shift now, that everybody wins when we cooperate. Everybody wins. Because what we're afraid of is that we will lose. It's like if somebody gets a car, we think that there's no more car for us. How come? It's like we have a scarcity mindset. If a person buy a house, then no house for me. Where did we get that? And all of this conflict here because we have a scarcity mindset, not an abundant mindset. Then we have a fearful mindset, not a love mindset. And I believe if we can come from a love place. So when you love, did you know some of the most angriest persons are the most fearful persons? No, you check it. Some of the most angriest persons, if you ever get to talk to them, they are terrified. But they have to show this bravado, yes, that they have to choose. And finally, I want to say, we're at our stupidest when we're at our angriest. No, we're at our stupidest when we're at our angriest. And if we can just for persons to start to think about it, because they don't want the outcomes, they don't want the results, they don't want the prison, they don't want all of those results. No, but they are thinking that this is the only way, and we are saying no. Take a deep breath, exhale, and let us have a conversation. So even this, you'll never know what it can ignite and start, and that's the amazing miracle when we collaborate together. And so I can't say I have the solution, I must be honest with you. But I believe in all of us. And when we listen to each other, and when we start to work more in groups and encourage that collaborative effort, I think we can change the trajectory.
Just to respond to, I appreciate yeah, just to respond to Brother Chung, I appreciate your contribution a while ago. But something I took away from all of what you said, and at, close towards the end of the presentation or your contribution, you said you abandoned a program or some initiative that you took or whoever took that was beneficial. So I'm going to say here, do we have the political will to find all that what you're that the concern that you're raising? Do we have the political will? We keep referencing other countries, we keep referencing some of the good things that other people are doing. Do we here have the political will to do the same or to effect that change that we all want to see?
So, oh, okay. I think I heard you ask a question and answer it. I understand that you shouldn't do that. Remember what you were sharing? Yes, that was recommended. Those two people get the joke. All right. So, my response to what you just said is that necessity is the mother of all inventions. So right now there is a need for a paradigm shift, and I illustrated $5,000 example. All waiting somebody else to initiate on top of what we just shared. So you have a thing they call the butterfly effect. You know, you just one wave of the butterfly wing, and then next thing you know you have a hurricane. It's one wave. So the Ministry of Justice is one of the many ministries in the government. So from a whole government point of view, I think when they adopted restorative justice as another tool in the conflict resolution toolbox, that's one of the tools that is applicable, that can help to shift the paradigm. So when persons humanizes others, for example, in an interview, let's say we're having a formal restorative justice session, this person is saying to the other one, and him said, the ground rule is call the person by their first name. You put on a name tag so you can see the name, assuming you can read. If you can't, we know you're very smart and you can remember. So we don't say him, because when you're sharing your story, you just want to poke it to the person. When you have to call someone's name, you have to think before you speak. And part of our problem is that we talk and maybe think, and then we hurt someone's feelings because we're not so concerned about the next person. So Romans 12 verse 2 is not a tool, but it's a start where we have to transform the way we think, whether we're coming from slavery or we're going into heaven. We have to change or take responsibility, as it seems, and accountability for our role. So when we say stop the fighting, it's not always physical fighting. Because people use fighting words all the time in a simple situation. You're just so angry. I mean, you can't word it another way. Many years ago, my sister told me that the reason why you, Roydon, use so many expletives is because you cannot find the word that you want. So that is happening to the persons. Children in schools, their feelings vocabulary, very limited. So if we start having circles in schools encouraging the next generation, the new members of society, by the way, to re-socialize them, all things considered, that my book says that is the village, not the family. My book. That's one I'm writing now. Yeah. So it really takes a community to care, because when we say family, a person did an experiment and got pregnant. That's a family. So the families don't come in, it's not always nuclear. I think one of the things I'm going to push the minister to do, the Ministry of Justice is responsible for marriage license. But they don't promote it and have a advertising campaign and promote marriages, I'm just saying, if it's your call, just do it, just do it. If you interview many young people and you mention marriage to them, you're going to be shocked. at their interpretation of marriages. I'm saying if people think like that all the time, how you get them to reason. So there's a combination, so the culture shift. And then for our apathy, for our role in the past where we could have done something differently and we didn't, that also adds to the butterfly effect where we can't get started. So we have to really own it and say to ourselves after this meeting that we have to do things restorative. And the root word in restorative is obviously restore. So clearly something is broken, and the tool in the toolbox is perhaps this social justice tool that is used around the world, Rwanda, South Africa. We'll have a conversation going about healing and restoration and change of minds. In terms of your question about replacing something in school, I remember being the PTA president of a school I won't name, and I was on another board once upon a time. The issue of taking the whip out of school, and teacher said, I'll pay the $150,000, but I'm sticking to the gun. But at the time, there was a book called Positive Discipline. So you take out the strap and you put a concept, and I think I heard it here. You have to value human beings. The children are not robots, they are human beings. And they give trouble, you don't know about Piaget, you don't know about modeling. You know, education is about only three things: knowledge, skill. The last one is attitude. And people copy our attitude. So in those institutions that we're introducing restorative justice practices, if thou art that man, I don't know if you know the story when King David was set up by his friend. You say to him, King, I know man on the road, one little gem. The other man have many gems. And King, the man with the many gems, take away the man gem. So what we do with a man like that, King? Of course, you know what the king said. He must be put to death. That's a wicked man. And then he was reminded that man is thou art the man. So I'm saying, you know, we own it. There's nobody coming from anywhere to transform our society. My listener, you're responsible. You're responsible that when you go home after you heard from Mr. Bailey, the best practices, you know, the mindset, how you speak with your wife, the miserable son, and so on. How he spoke with his son. I think he's the lawyer one. You know, you want to go and disrespect the teacher. Tell her, say, this is not your jurisdiction. Oh, that will work. So normally in your days, you might get the king. Yeah, so I'm saying that, to me, that's violence personified, to me. Yes, and I tell you why. Let me just quickly add and cut. You have a conflict and you use the whip, right? So you're teaching how you resolve conflicts, right? So you can't deny that's one thing. Secondly, if my wife don't come home for 5 days, and that pin out of the classroom and tell me about you know, not jurisdiction, right? I'm gonna hold that child and give it to them. Yes. So when you're angry, I understand it's the time when you're making worse decisions. So you're angry about something else, and I don't think any well-thinking person, if you're futuristic, that you would believe, just like what happened while we're talking about restorative justice. When the country believe, you just kill people because they're rude. That's why we're having the conversation. You cannot use violence to solve violence. It's not always bigger and always stronger. The children like, oh, we call it big. And just finally, you know, your children wonder quite often, oh, you have an instrument like this and you can manipulate it and you have so much talk. You know, I mean, just think about it. You coming to me for what? And you're saying what to me? So we have to do some introspection and come back fresh. True. You know, eagles actually fly this height, and other creatures fly this height. So we really have to put on the eagle, outfit and just go up there and have this worldview that is not island view, it's worldview. So we need to go there if we're interested in transforming the civil service generally. Bureaucracies just function like bureaucracies. You have to accept the thing. Just work like that. And by the way, every workplace tends to have office politics. I mean, you just anyway you have two people, you have a problem.
Yeah.
So the question is, how mature are we? So my question to the people I'm studying now, the obvious, right? My question to them is, do you listen to respond to your wife, or you listen to understand? It's really the language we need to be asking ourselves and promoting fast. We have to be the ambassadors. We have to be the change agents by doing a little research and just start to talk something. I don't know what that something is. You can study restorative justice. Your skill, sir. Why I said that necessity is the mother of all invention. When I go into retirement soon, I have a body of knowledge. Now, where will that go? It must be an NGO. It must be to add more value. So I have to link with you because of your knowledge. And when you put two together, there's this thing you may or may not know. It's called the Fibonacci sequence. If you do maths, or you don't have to do maths. But instead of 2, 4, 6, 8, 16, 32, that geometric progression, it goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. What's the next number? 8. What's the next number? 13. What's the next number? 21. What's the next number? 34. And you could, if you look at the airline, the jet thing, you see a graph, you see something drawn. That is the sequence. The ear is shaped the same way. The Milky Way, the wave. There's something in it that God is saying to us. That 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. You grow like that. You grow like that, and you can change the status quo if we are like-minded. So again, Romans 12 is a nice place to start, because right, nice place to start the conversation. I like my best 3 verses in the Bible is Genesis 1, verse 1 to 3. I think it says something about light. It's about light again, light, learning, and insight. There was nothing at all, no shape, no voice. Then he spoke it, and there was light. We have to shine some light, and you can't wait for your grandmother because she's gone heaven already. You are here, and you're the change agent. So that's what I do for a living. Just have a dash, 19 all long toe. Yeah, that's my little thing. So I don't know about yours, but you need to leave some footprints that your generation can say, yeah man, Jamaicans are Jamaicans. So it is our responsibility, your responsibility, to assist in the transformation of schools, families, workplaces, communities. So we have the tool. The question is, how we're going to use it.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I know we could continue like this, but we have to come to an end. And I'm not sure if the panelists want to just give us a summary in 30 seconds. And then we move on. Yes, 30 seconds. So just say, for this part, you're going to just let us know what this session has meant for you as a panel.
I think the other two did their summary just now.
All right. So, in summary, I want to say once again, thanks for the Jamaica Civil Service Association, in particular, Sir Carter, for reaching out to me and inviting us here, both myself and Roydon from the Ministry of Justice, to participate and to share, and to also get some valuable information from all who are here. think this group, this audience was very, you know, welcoming, and they enjoyed themselves in my view. And I think they will have something to go back to and to fall back on in terms of what was shared here today and their own experiences, their own skill set, and their own understanding of what needs to be done in order for another 105 years to be realized. So I give thanks again, and I just welcome any kind of invitation or any kind of outreach or reaching out that may come in the future when it comes to restorative justice and anger, conflict management information that we can offer to you.
Thank you, Brother Rock.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to that restorative justice training for my members. I'm sure you guys, absolutely.
All right, thank the panelists for your contributions. They were well, it was well received, right, audience? Yeah, man.
And we'll run straight ahead into our presentations, and we'll ask our president to get into position while I get the goodies, and the Brother Jerry will continue to speak.
Right. So we thank you all for participating. It has opened my eyes to a lot of concepts, and I'm sure you have your notation, and we have it on YouTube, by the way. So I'm sure you're yeah, we have some more of these left for you. So stay tuned to the JCSA's YouTube channel to share to share the others as you know the concepts taught here and the concepts shared. We're going to invite a member of our panelists, Sir Kevin Bailey, to be presented by President. Just a small appreciation of the immeasurable body of knowledge you'd have imparted to us today. Madam Pres.
I'm sure that, thank you so much, Brother Chair. I'm sure that all of us would have come here today and would be very happy that we would have been here, right? Yes, we're very happy. We saw the synergy between all three presenters. You started with a powerful presentation, and I'm going to stop right there because I have to go to Mr. Hall. But, sir, we thank you for taking the time to be here, to be patient with us. We started a little bit late, but you guys were quite patient. I guess you learned that from Restorative Justice. And so we just want to thank you for taking the time to come and to speak with us. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to another meaningful presentation and a partnership that we may be able to build, because we have 30,000 that are waiting for training, counseling, and all these things, right, guys? Absolutely. We thank you, sir, and we are going to also ask that you note the names of these presenters, and in your respective MDAs, invite them to come and share with your members in your various locations. Thank you so much. Don't move, don't move. We always try to give you a certificate of appreciation from the Jamaica Civil Service Association, and in particular the Men's Coalition Committee. And this one is for you, sir, so that you remember that our organization is also very giving. We can pay for the service, but we can certainly thank you for coming, and we appreciate you. Hall. A little bit heavy, so I'm going to ask you to hold it quickly. And Mr. Hall, we listened attentively to how patient you were with us and the intent to which you go into the presentation, carrying on from our first presenter, and you did an exceptionally good job. We thank you for coming. One of our own ministry persons, colleagues, one of our own Ministry of Justice that we represent too. We thank you, sir, for the team effort. It was a team effort, and you did so seamlessly, and it means that you understood the body languages. You took cue. I was watching how you related to each other, and as much as they were presenting to us, there was actually something happening at here that you could actually see. And so it was not only in what you say, but actually what you do. So we also thank you for coming. And of course, we do have a certificate of appreciation that we'll also present to you. And we're looking forward to restorative justice training. Can I say that in all my 3 presentations? And it's for free, so I look forward to it. Thank you again, Mr. R. Now, here's the rock of our presentation. This is the rock, right? And it's not the wrestler one. So kindly hold it a little for me, please. So, Mr. Rock. That sounds funny, don't it? Now, somebody call you the rock. What comes to mind is somebody that is so strong, turn it around. Right. Very strong and sturdy. Mr. Rock, brother Rock, thank you for coming to present to us with your partner, Brother All. We thank you, and you're also from the Ministry of Justice. So we thank you too for doing a very good job in aiding Mr. All to present your way, and his presentation complemented yours. And so we also thank you, and of course we're looking forward to
See me again.
No, you don't get it right. All right, well, let's do this again. Yes, all right, let's do this again. All right, so we thank you, and we're looking forward to
Training you in restorative practices and restorative justice so that you can help out the organization.
or
Free.
did you get that free part on camera? All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, colleagues.
All right, I want to thank the congregation. Madam President, you did a splendid job. And we want to thank you, audience, for being so gracious with us in the start and throughout. You were able to hear your questions, get more knowledge, strategies, etc., to bring back to your various MDAs. We appreciate that you are so receptive. We have a few more credit to give away real quickly. Real quick. This is our last thing that we do before we go for
Digicel is 481. Digicel. So Digicel online.
Yes.
Online Digicel.
And we just want to say thank you, online audience, for being so receptive. Yeah, we know you're there out there. Thank you. And remember to share, like, and subscribe. All right?
So these two are for online listeners or watchers, viewers, participants. 481 205. This is Digicel. So start again. Digicel 481 205 863 9323.
Okay, and this also is for our online viewers, Flow. So online viewers who have Flow credit, stay tuned. Here it is: 577 953 572 25976. All right.
Stop the fighting.
And last one now for the audience in-house.
Digicel 931 557 305 2602.
And for okay,
Stop the
wonderful.
fighting. Good.
Remember, Stop the Fighting. This was brought to you by the JCSA in collaboration with the Men's Coalition Committee. We have been your hosts. And we have more to come. Stay tuned. Here we go. For Flow customers, here we go. 892 110 691 82585 for $625 value credit. Stop the fighting. Okay,
she got
here we
it.
go. We have a
Wonderful.
winner right here.
So it was a pleasure being with you, myself and Brother Jerry. And to close us out with a vote of thanks is our monitoring officer, who is our first VP, Brother Sprater. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, Masters of Ceremony. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot to be thankful for today. Today was indeed a most pleasurable occasion, very informative, and so, as I said before, a lot to be thankful for. First of all, let me just give it up for our two Masters of Ceremony. They did a marvelous job. And of course, you know, prayer was in order. Brother McLeod, you did us proud. I want to pause though, because when we plan to host this activity, and we said we want the best of the best to be our presenters, and when we would have chosen the person that we chose, we realized that we actually chose the creme de la creme. And so we want to say a big thank you to brothers Kevin, Roydon, and Robin. You did us proud. And of course, we have a few takeaways. We have 4 core messages that we should always seek to think about. You need to tell your children, your friend, you are loved, you are valuable, you are capable, and you are forgivable. At least that you must leave away with today. Next, we need to know what triggers us. And once you know what triggers us, we'll be able to manage it. You must be aware of misplaced anger. And we must get rid of that scarcity mindset. When we listen, we do not listen to respond. We listen to understand. So these are some of the takeaways that I must again say thank you to our 3 presenters. Thank you so much. We want to thank our General Secretary who brought greetings earlier on and she had to leave. We want to thank our President, our big deal President, for her presentation and contribution to the activity. And let me just pause to recognize and acknowledge our 2 co-chairs, Brother Nikhil Campbell and Brother Alan Carter, who unavoidably could not make it before. But it was so important to them that even if it is vote of thanks, they are here to receive it. This could not have happened without the committee of great men. And so I want to thank the members of the Men's Coalition Committee for what you have done here today. Thank you. I want to thank our public relations and communications team. I want to thank all the participants, both here physically and those online. And I want to thank the Almighty God for allowing this to happen today. Thank you so much. So once again, thanks to every single person that helped to make this a reality, that helped to make it such a wonderful activity. Of course, we have our JPAC team that makes certain that the place was hospitable for us to be so well accommodated. I want to thank the person who is going to be sharing the food because we are looking forward to that. And of course, just to say that we have refreshment, brothers and sisters, so you don't leave when you leave here. So thank again. I want to say have a great day. This is just the beginning. We have a week of activities. Tomorrow is the Women's Action Committee Spa Day. And of course, on Friday, we'll have the Young Workers activities. I want you to continue to support your JCSA because, as was said earlier today, together we achieve more. And of course, always remember the JCSA as the mega deal union. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes, so we're on our way for refreshment.
Wow! Look like them things say that today is a race. So them a fight to see who get first place. Them no say is a big disgrace. I beg them see and circle. Harlem pull up, stop it. The warring vibes we have to drop it. Me say Harlem pull up, stop it. Pieces a good look, make we rock it. Come on now, Harlem pull up, stop it. The warring thing we have to drop it. I make we stop the fighting. I will and come again with the right thing. Young minds going to waste, cause of beer warring at the place. Juveniles killing one another. Whoa, what is this? Beer negative vibes are preach. Now I hear young blood in the streets. Come on, man, come on now. This can't be real, no. Brother killing brother. Sister killing sister, oh no. Friend a kill friend. Husband killing wife and then going up in a prison for no good reason. Oh no, open on the ears and listen me. And now when me sing say, Harlem pull up, stop it. The warring vibes we have to drop it. Me say Harlem pull up, stop it. Pieces a good look, make we rock it now. Harlem pull up, stop it. The warring vibes we have to drop it. I make we stop the fighting, and we'll and come again with the right thing. Why are you killing each other? Why can't you forgive one another? Tell me why, oh. Brother, would you rather give peace a chance, give love a chance? Come on, my brother. Harlem pull up, stop it. The warring vibes, we have to drop it. Harlem pull up, stop it. Peace is a good look, make we rock it. Come on now. Harlem pull up, stop it. The warring vibes, we have to drop it. I make we stop the fighting, and we'll and come again with the right thing. Why are we killing each other? Why can't we forgive one another? Tell me why, oh, would you rather give peace a chance, give love a chance? Come on, Jamaica, Harlem pull up, stop it. The warring vibes, we have to drop it. Mr. Harlem pull up, stop it. Peace is a good look, make we rock it, say, Harlem, pull up, stop it.